So I've said this before, but there are days when you just absolutely love Nintendo and you want to cheer for them, and then there are other days where you just want to fucking... Unfortunately, today is one of the latter days. If you've been following me for a while, then you're probably well aware that I'm not a fan of Day 1 DLCs or pre-order bonuses. I think it's absolutely bullshit when content that's ready to be shipped with a game is purposely left out to be sold separately or to incentivize pre-orders. I'm all for expansions that actually expand upon a pre-existing experience in significant, tangible ways with substantial new content. But I can't stand DLC where their purpose is only to make a quick buck by selling content that could have easily been included in the final game. I've seen a lot of companies degrade themselves to this business model over the years because, unfortunately, it works. It has to be working because otherwise they wouldn't be doing it. But there are still a few select companies that take the moral high ground and still prioritize the consumer's experience over making profit, chief among them being CD Projekt Red. You may recall that for Witcher 3, they released a bunch of free DLCs before finally selling us some expansions that actually live up to the word expansion. All reasonably priced, I might add. Another company that seemed to avoid shitty DLC practices for a while was Nintendo, but over the years, they too have slowly been degrading themselves into prioritizing a quick buck here and there. Now, the way Nintendo has been doing it is rather sneaky. I'd like to direct your attention to an upcoming game called Metroid: Samus Returns, a 3DS remake of the Game Boy title Metroid 2: Return of Samus. The game itself looks fucking phenomenal. I've waited a long time for a truly great 2D style Metroid game to grace us, and this game seems to be on its way to scratch that itch. Everything from the gorgeous 2.5D graphics to the smooth gameplay ooze awesomeness, and I'm genuinely looking forward to playing this game. But what I'm not looking forward to is the way they're locking in-game content and gameplay features behind Amiibos. There are 4 Amiibos so far that have been announced to be compatible with the game. 2 of them are brand new, and 2 others are from Smash Bros. For 3DS and Wii U. Here's what they offer. The new Samus Aran amiibo, modeled from Samus Returns, will unlock an extra energy tank in-game, as well as exclusive art in the art gallery after completing the game. Now here's where things get insulting. The new, quote, squidgy Metroid amiibo will reveal the location of nearby Metroids on your map in-game, and it will unlock a new mode called Fusion Mode after completing the game. According to Nintendo's official Facebook page, Fusion Mode offers increased difficulty and features Samus in her fusion suit from Metroid Fusion. So basically, Nintendo is locking the game's hard mode behind a paywall that takes the form of a figurine. It's worth noting that the new Samus and Metroid amiibos will be sold as a set, so you're probably looking at a price range of $20 to $25. I don't know what it is with Nintendo and making people pay for hard mode. Zelda Breath of the Wild did something similar with their $20 expansion pass, but at least with Zelda it's just a one-time $20 payment for 3 substantial DLC packages. With Metroid, you're paying $20 for just the hard mode and some exclusive art. The figurines are nice, I suppose, but some people just aren't interested in them. They just want the in-game content. For the last 2 amiibos, the Smash Bros. Samus will unlock a missile tank in-game and more exclusive art after completing the game, while the Smash Bros. Zero Suit Samus will unlock an energy tank in-game and a jukebox mode of sorts where you can listen to the game's soundtrack after completing the game. These 2 amiibos are $13 a pop, by the way. All things considered, we are looking at 2 sets of exclusive art for the game's art gallery, a hard mode, and a jukebox mode that Nintendo's making us pay for. This is essentially DLC, except you can physically buy it and pick it up in the form of figurines. And keep in mind, this is all content that will be readily available at launch and features that should be inherent to a game. You shouldn't have to pay for things like a hard mode and a jukebox mode. So basically, to unlock the full game, you have to pay $40 for the base game, let's say $20 for the new amiibo set, and $26 for the 2 Smash Bros. Amiibos for a grand total of $86. That's how much the game actually costs in its entirety. What the fuck, Nintendo? And Metroid Samus Returns isn't even the only culprit. I would also like to draw your attention to Splatoon 2. It's a wonderful game and I'm having tons of fun with it, but one feature that should be inherent to the game is locked behind Amiibo figurines. When you use Splatoon Amiibos in Splatoon 2, its rewards, like exclusive outfits, get uploaded to your game, but then the Amiibo is freed up to store a gear loadout. Taking advantage of this, you can use Amiibos to quickly switch between one set of clothes and weapons to another. The problem, however, is that this feature is not available in the vanilla game. You cannot save gear loadouts in Splatoon 2 without using Amiibos. This feature that is so inherent and important to any modern shooter is locked behind a $13 paywall. And I believe I'm correct in assuming that you can only store one gear loadout per Amiibo. So if you have multiple loadouts for different game modes, you're going to have to purchase multiple Splatoon Amiibos at $13 a pop or whatever, and then label them or something to keep track of which one's which. There is no native way of organizing your loadouts in-game. For those who don't own these Amiibos, you're going to have to resort to inconveniently going through all your weapons and clothes and equipping them one by one anytime you want to change your gear loadout. It is absolute bullshit. You shouldn't have to pay for such a basic convenience in a game like Splatoon 2. So yeah, it's really sneaky the way Nintendo's doing it, but it's pretty much the exact same concept. Nintendo is leaving out content that should be included in the final game and then selling them separately. Theirs just happens to be tucked away inside figurines, which again, are really well built and look really nice, but not everyone wants them, and they shouldn't be the catalyst to basic gameplay features. Not to mention that some of these Amiibos have proven to be rather difficult to find, so even if you are willing to pay extra for things like hard mode, you might not be able to find them. Yes, you might have to arduously search for a difficulty mode. What a time we live in. And the saddest thing about all this is witnessing a company like Nintendo going down this path. I still remember when the late Satoru Iwata made a promise that Nintendo would not use DLC or a similar practice to deceive their consumers. He said, "We cannot and should not ask our consumers to embrace the situation where they're required to make excessive payments. Doing such things might be good for short-term profit, but it will not serve our midterm and long-term business developments." And one thing that Nintendo has determined as a company policy, what we are not going to do is create a full game and then say, let's hold this back for DLC. That's not our plan. We're definitely not doing that. It's an extreme example, but I think there are examples of games where you get that initial purchase, the very core part of the game, and everything else around it is all DLC. However, if you do that, I believe customers will have no motivation to go out and buy the retail package to begin with. So our goal is to create DLC in such a way that consumers do not feel that they have been cheated or deceived. Now, I believe there are people out there, readers, who are worried about that, and we just want to ensure them that we have that in mind and want them to know that that's not what we're planning on doing. You are goddamn right, Iwata, but apparently the folks over at Nintendo aren't too keen on following your wise words. This is all the more depressing when you realize that studios like CD Projekt Red have already demonstrated how you can do DLC while respecting your customers, exactly how Iwata described it. Once again, with Witcher 3, they offered 16 pieces of free DLC before finally charging for substantial expansions that were reasonably priced. These free DLC ranged from unique armor sets, cosmetic features like additional beard and hairstyles for Geralt, as well as alternate costumes for certain characters, new quests, new finisher moves and animations, and a new game plus. This is all shit that other companies would put behind some kind of pre-order bonus, paywall, or DLC, or in the case of Nintendo, Amiibos. But CD Projekt Red just handed this shit out to us on a silver platter. Like, how fucking great are they? So yeah, at this point, other companies and studios have no excuse. Nintendo has no excuse. They can disguise it all they want with Amiibos and whatever, but what they're doing is just as bad as other companies. If anyone actually believes you're getting extra content by purchasing these Metroid Amiibos, you are fooling yourself. All you're doing is falling for their scheme and unwittingly paying way more for a game than you should. Unless you did want those figurines, in which case that works out nicely, I suppose. But the problem is that the figurines aren't optional. The only way to unlock Metroid's hard mode or to store gear loadouts in Splatoon 2 is through their Amiibos. They have turned what should be inherent gameplay features into exclusive purchases. which is just wrong. So yeah, there you go, folks. A little PSA that I thought was worth sharing with you guys. I hope you got something out of this video, and if you enjoy my content, I hope you'll consider supporting us on Patreon to help our community remain independent from corporate interference, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions. Stay tuned right here on Yong Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Yong out!